Hello again. What can we say on that? I'm not quite sure what to say on that one, but there we go. First half in the books, done and dusted. We are here with our very quick halftime thoughts. Bit late, apologies. We were probably picking ourselves up off the floor. After a fairly bad opening 15 minutes, Town did settle into the game. I will bring Matt Phillips back in first. First 15 minutes, not the greatest start you want against any opposition, let alone Premier League, Champions League final.
No. You get the impression, even though there's no crowd there, so you haven't got that sort of intimidating atmosphere. I still feel like maybe the occasion of playing in such a huge stadium for a lot of our Town players maybe got to them a little bit. I mean, just sort of like rudimentary errors, wasn't there? I mean, we shot ourselves in the foot twice for the goal for the goal. So.
I can absolutely get on board with them being Champions League final, being Premier League, international quality, but we're beating ourselves. Yeah.
I mean, we know what was said about Cordell on the pod. We mentioned it in the pre-match show, didn't we? He didn't help himself with that. I think Enciala stuck a back pass back to him on the goal line. He barely got it across the goal, didn't he?
Yeah. So obviously the first goal you could put question marks on as the crunch has just done there. We were warned about Cornell, should say the first goal. Yeah. But the second one, which is one that sparked a bit of debate, if you like, on Twitter, Joe, to bring you in, should have put his foot through it, right?
Well, if you're going to put your foot through it, obviously, you're guaranteed to get it out of the way. But the problem is he's gone for the pass. There's no problem if you can make that pass. But the problem is you're asking a really good midfielder to make that pass through three attackers with pace, direct. There is really no need. I'm one of these people that supports playing it out through the back. I think that's where the game has moved, and there's some real good benefits from it. But not then. It's time and place, and that was so far from it. And as for the first goal, I think his positioning was a bit out, and he was rooted to the spot, and that's why it trickled past him because Sessegnon and his weaker foot. But not ideal start to his Town days. Really.
Yeah, I think for the first goal, you could probably argue maybe caught a bit cold, flat-footed. These things happen to goalkeepers, even the best goalkeepers in the world. You see goals like that, and you think didn't move. But the second goal,
the Sessegnon control for that first goal, wasn't very good, was it?
No, it wasn't the greatest.
Kane could have maybe cut that out, but it is what it is.
It is what it is. Second goal for me is the bugbear. I know we want to play out from the back. I know Paul Lambert wants to play out from the back. And I've seen on Twitter a few people say, well, you're so friendly. You want to try and implement that style. But there's where you do it. It's how you do it. It's I've seen people say Lambert would have been telling him off. I think Lambert's not going to be high-fiving him for the second goal. He's not going to be saying, great, well done, David. That's what I want to see from you. They're going to be saying, David, there's a time and a place. Foot through it, Rose Ed. Because as Joe says, if you can look up, head up, eye a pass and side foot it, you can stick it into Rose Ed, right?
Yeah, well, Ashley's made a good point there. It's Cornell's first game in God knows how long. First team nerves, all that kind of thing. He didn't want the pass in the first place, did he? I mean, Wolfenton's put it back to him. I could think you could tell by his body language. I don't want that pass. I'm not ready for it. But it just shows you the quality of Spurs. I mean, 3 touches, it's in the back of the net, isn't it? I mean, that's kind of the take home I've got from the first half. I mean, Spurs are just using that pitch to their advantage, stroking it around, almost like they're smoking a cigar. And Ipswich are kind of like too many touches on the ball, they're trying to beat too many players, passing back. It's almost like anxiety to Spurs' relaxed style.
It really was. However, after the first 15 minutes, I started to see some really good things from Ipswich. We kept the shape. We kept our integrity of our lines. Our midfield kept its integrity, Joe. Good play in patches. What did you think following the first 15 minutes? What were your thoughts of Ipswich following the first 15 minutes?
Yeah, well, it's certainly once things had settled down a bit. I think the highlights of the half for me, Dobra's performance was quite encouraging, and I heard his name mentioned quite a bit. You can always tell the mark of a player playing well is when you hear his name in commentary and how often it's said. And I kept hearing every time Ipswich, and I was Dobra. And watching him as well through the game a bit. You were talking before pre-match about his tendency, or people, a lot of Town fans think he'll be a better number 10. He was trying to drift drift in and be more involved. And he was, as we were saying, Judgewell was a bit more quiet, and Dobra was really, really looking for that ball. I've seen Drinnan get a few pelters for being a bit slow, and I understand that, but I think some of his link-up play wasn't too bad given the circumstances. And I love a striker that tracks back and tries to put a foot in as well. So I think that was a really encouraging sign. And I think once the back four managed the game a little bit better, I think what we saw from Kane Vincent-Young today is more of a traditional right-back performance or a traditional full-back performance, playing inside his own half and rarely venturing far forward, and seeing that defensive side of him, which we'll need more. It's all lovely talking about how good he is going forward. So I think there was a few good encouraging signs, and certainly on the half-hour point, Spurs really looked quite good. And a player that I hadn't, we said I mentioned on the Cole United game the other night about Cole Skews. I think an experienced head in there. He was actually, picking up a few of the passes and stuff, which led to a few of your more positive plays. So I think there were more encouraging signs once it had settled down.
Yeah, absolutely. The only bugbear of mine, Matt, and I think I said it on the WhatsApp, no movement. Prime example, Dobra and Vincent-Young link up really well down the right. Dobra puts a ball into the box. There's no one in the middle, but more importantly, on the edge of the 18-yard box, when Vincent-Young and Dobra are doing their lovely intricate link-up play, there's no movement ahead of them. And I know you can't compare Spurs players to Ipswich Town players because they're golf of class, but there's no movement. Movement is something that every player can do. You're not don't be a statue. Statues are easy to mark, right?
Yeah, exactly. I just feel that's probably where the occasion has got to some of our players a little bit, in this 60,000 seater stadium. I don't know. It's just with no one in it, but you're still in that environment, and you've got the pressure and the stress of trying to put in a good performance. Has probably got to them a little bit. But I mean, there was some nice invention. I mean, going back to what Joe said with Drinnan, there was that nice corner again. They've obviously been practicing corners on the training pitch, haven't they? And Judge put that cross in, and Drinnan headed it over. I mean, easy for me to say. I maybe should have Noel Quinned it to the far post rather than try to get it into the the near post. Yeah. But easy for me to say. But again, nice invention. These are kind of things. We're not going to win the game. We know that, but it's nice to be able to see these kind of things and taking chances like that against top level elite opposition.
Yeah, but it's not about winning the game, Matt. No. It's about things like Steve Mays has perfectly pointed out. And guys, you can get involved in both this show and the post-game show. I wouldn't worry too much about scoreline, fitness and shape, which is why it was really important to see how they reacted. And I said that on Twitter, Joe. I said, okay, that's gone. How do you react now? How do you come back from that? Do you keep playing, or do you just lay down and say, you're much better than us? Here's my belly, tickle it, right? But they didn't.
No, and that's about attitude primarily, and again, not just from a neutral perspective. Was the attitude there at some points in the season when things got a bit frosty and things got a little bit
Fleetwood at home?
Yeah, and Portman Road become a bit of a cauldron for a bit of a horrible atmosphere. Those players learnt a lot last season. They took a lot on the chin and the championship season. And you do think at 2-0 down after 10 minutes, conceivably at half time, I was preparing for a really big cricket score. No offence, and even when in fairness, you showed it twice, because in fairness as well, you come back from that, settle down, and then Son scores a really well taken third. It was a really
great goal.
A really good finish, sat Cornell down, a brilliant finish. And then you think, actually, could there be a couple more before half time? And there wasn't. They shut up shop again. And in fact, Ipswich then moved on again. So that's an attitude thing. And that's a showing, actually, we're here now. We actually still want to play. It may be a pre-season friendly, but that's a bit of grit, which perhaps in other games or perhaps before you may not have had. So perhaps over the summer, something has filtered into them, because that's a really, really good thing, because you can duck your head. You think, are we going to have a shot on target? What's going on? So it's encouraging.
Especially young lads, especially young players like Drinnan, Dobra. You can fall to better players. Of course, the cruncher here, so the fantastic point. My son Ollie played in goal since he was 6, now playing under the 13s. Decent with his feet, but I'm pretty sure he would have gone route one on that instance. Well, and I think that's something that the coach will be speaking to him. But it's important, Town fans, and I will say this, and no, it's me, it's coming from me, not to write a player off too early. We've said this on the podcast previously. He's had a bad start. Let's not pretend he hasn't. But it's a friendly. Let's get the mistakes out of the way now.
Yeah.
Let's do things on the training field, because that's what pre-season is, a training field. Make the mistakes, go back to the training centre, watch the tape, learn from it, grow from it, and be a better player come September 12th when we kick off against Wigan at home. 2 minutes left. What do you want to see from this second half? I'll come to Matt first. Second half coming up. What do you want to see?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of just going on what Joe said there, really. That's sort of like, we're not going to win the game, so let's go out. Just try and see if we can put in a good performance second half. Again, good link-up play, try and get forward, try and take the game to Spurs a little bit. Who knows what kind of team they're going to put out second half? I noticed on their Twitter they said this was their first half team, so maybe there's going to be wholesale changes for them in the second half. But yeah, Ipswich just keep trying to play their game the way Lambert wants them to play. So we know he wants them to play out from the back. Keep utilising that against elite opposition. These opportunities don't come along every day, do they? Playing against the likes of Tottenham.
Joe?
Go for it, Joe.
Yeah, no, exactly the same. I would probably be keen not to overly change it very, very quickly. A couple of introductions would be really nice. Watch him go make 6 or 7 changes now. But ultimately, maybe occasionally switch up and go a bit more direct and see if we can get a bit more presence up front next to Drinan to support him if he doesn't come off, and just roll the dice a little bit more. I think if I was Cornell and I was starting the second half, chin up, it's 0-0, just crack on from here and see what you can do. But I do fear for him if he has another wobble, because you don't want to have too many in your first main game. So
no, absolutely. And I can see from the pictures that Ledley King has got the old Rolodex out. He's looking through the pictures, so I don't know how many changes they're making. There's some lovely graphics on his book. But yeah, so they may make a few changes.
The stream's good. You got Steve Wilson from Match of the Day on there. It's good.
It's a good. Well, much better than Tuesday night. No offense, Joe.
For a minute, I thought you said that Ledley King was about to come on. I was rolling back.
Those were the days, Joe.
Centre half. I'd love to see him play again. That'd be fantastic.
Just checking the town Twitter feed. No changes so far announced. Guys watching, thanks for watching. You can get involved after the show. We'll be live right here on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. If you're on YouTube, don't forget, hit subscribe, help the channel to grow. We're right here to have your thoughts. You can, of course, give your thoughts via the chat, both Facebook and YouTube and Twitter. They will come on the screen. They will be answered. Or you can appear on the show, either by video like this, or, Matthew, please speak. Oh, no, hang on. Go on in. Now say it. Audio. Oh, that worked well, didn't it? That worked well. Or by an audio link. So let us know after the game. Ask for a link. But we'll be right back here. The teams are out. Tottenham have made, I don't know how many changes, but there's certainly players coming on. And as far as I can tell, Town have made absolutely none. So we'll see you right here after the game. Catch you then.